Hey everyone, ready to dive into the story that's got all the elements of a Hollywood drama? We're talking Oscars, social media, and a bit of controversy.
Sounds juicy.
It is. It involves two amazing actresses, Karla Sofia Gascón and Fernanda Torres. They're both nominated for Best Actress.
Wow, that's incredible for both of them.
Yeah, but here's the twist. Gascón initially implied that Torres' social media team was trying to sabotage her chances.
That's intense. The Oscars are already so competitive.
Right, but then she walked back on those comments, praising Torres and saying online hate speech is the real villain in this story.
Okay, so things are already getting complicated. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So let's go back to the beginning. Gascón made her initial comments in an interview with the Brazilian newspaper Folha de São Paulo.
Gotcha. I remember seeing some headlines about that.
Yeah, and what's interesting is she actually starts by praising Torres. She says, and I'm quoting here, "I have never at any point said anything bad about Fernanda Torres or her movie."
Wow, that's a strong statement.
Yeah, and then comes the line that stirred everything up. She says, "There are people working with Fernanda Torres tearing me and Emilia Pérez down."
Okay, I see where the controversy comes in. That's a pretty direct accusation.
Right, and it's not something you usually see during award season. It's supposed to be all smiles and congratulations, even if everyone's secretly trying to outdo each other.
Yeah, it's like there's this unspoken rule. You can be competitive, but you gotta keep it classy.
Exactly. But with social media, things get murky. It's not just about the films anymore, it's about the whole online campaign machine.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole different ballgame now. Social media teams are constantly trying to walk this line between promoting their clients and, maybe bending the rules a bit.
Right, and this is where it gets even juicier. Just a few days before this interview came out, Torres posted a video on Instagram defending Gascón from online hate speech.
Oh, wow. So on one hand, you have Gascón suggesting Torres' team is trying to undermine her, and on the other hand, you have Torres publicly supporting her. That's quite a contradiction.
It is, and it raises so many questions. Was there a miscommunication? Did things get taken out of context? Were Gascón's initial comments perhaps fueled by the negativity she was already experiencing online?
It really makes you think about the complexities of online interactions. It's so easy for things to get twisted and amplified.
Absolutely, and it brings us to Gascón's clarifying statement, which she gave to Variety.
Okay, so he addressed the controversy directly.
She did. She walked back her initial accusation, saying it wasn't aimed at Torres or anyone directly associated with her. She even called Torres a wonderful ally.
So damage control, but in a way that highlights a larger issue.
Exactly. And that issue is the pervasive nature of online hate speech, especially targeting marginalized communities.
You're right. And Gascón's experience is especially significant because she's the first openly transgender actor nominated for an Oscar.
Which makes her journey and the scrutiny she faces even more noteworthy, right? It's like she's breaking new ground and navigating uncharted territory.
For sure. And it makes you wonder what the long-term impact of her nomination will be, not just on her career, but for other transgender actors in Hollywood.
It's like she's carrying this extra weight, this responsibility of representation on her shoulders. And it makes you think about how the industry itself is trying to adapt to these changing dynamics, right?
Oh, definitely. Remember how the Academy actually updated their campaigning rules a few years back?
Yeah, to address some of the more aggressive tactics we've seen online.
Exactly. And while Gascón's comments didn't technically violate any of those rules, it definitely shows that the Academy is trying to stay ahead of the curve, Recognize that social media can be a bit of a Wild West.
It's like they're playing catch-up, trying to establish some ground rules in this new era of online campaigning. But stepping back from all this controversy for a moment, this whole situation also really highlights the generational significance of both Torres and Gascón's nominations.
Oh, for sure. You can't talk about Fernanda Torres without acknowledging her family's history in Brazilian cinema, right?
Right. Her mother, Fernanda Montenegro, was actually the first Brazilian nominated for Best Actress, like way back in 1998 for Central Station.
Such a powerful film. And now her daughter is nominated for I'm Still Here, which, by the way, didn't just get nominated for Best Actress. It's also up for Best Picture and Best International Feature.
It's amazing. A Golden Globe win already, and now all these Oscar nominations. It's like history repeating itself, but in this totally modern context.
Exactly. Torres is carrying on this incredible legacy, but she's doing it in a world where social media plays such a huge role.
It's like a reminder that things are always evolving. The film industry, the way we interact with it, how we celebrate it.
And for those listening, have you noticed this in other areas of the film industry? How about family legacies in Hollywood? Think of dynasties like the Coppolas, the Barrymores, the Hestons. It's fascinating how talent and influence can be passed down through generations.
It makes you think about those family connections, right? And how they shape not just individual careers, but the industry as a whole. And in this case, you have Torres following in her mother's footsteps, achieving global recognition. And then you have Gascón breaking barriers as the first openly transgender actor to be nominated for an Oscar.
It's incredible. 2 nominations that represent such different forms of progress happening at the same time.
Torres continuing a legacy of excellence, and Gascón paving the way for a more inclusive future.
It's like you said earlier, progress isn't always straightforward. It takes many forms.
Yeah, and we need to celebrate those wins, those steps forward, even as we acknowledge the challenges that still exist, like the online abuse Gascón talked about. It's a sobering reminder that representation is crucial, but it's only one part of the equation.
Right. We need to create an environment where everyone feels safe and respected, regardless of their gender identity, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, anything that makes them unique. I think that's what's really important here, how we as a society and as an industry move forward.
And how we learn from situations like this one, right? Which brings us back to that initial incident, Gascón suggesting that Torres' team was trying to undermine her.
Even though she clarified her remarks, it does make you stop and think about the implications.
Because even if it was just a misunderstanding, it shows how easy it is for things to get blown out of proportion online.
Oh, totally. It happens all the time. A comment taken out of context, a story that goes viral without the full picture. It makes you realize we all have a responsibility as consumers of online content to be more critical.
To think for ourselves, not just jump to conclusions, and remember there's often more to the story than what we see at first glance.
Especially when reputations are on the line, like in this situation.
So where do we go from here? This whole incident has put a spotlight on negativity during award season. Will we see more nominees speaking out? Will social media teams start being more careful about their tactics? What do you think?
It's tough to predict, but maybe, just maybe, this will be a turning point. We might see more transparency from campaigns, more genuine support between nominees, or even a shift away from this hyper-competitive, social media-driven approach.
It really makes you think about the possibilities. What do you think, listeners? Could this change how awards campaigns are run?
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this isn't the end of the story. And the conversation about campaigning, representation, and social media isn't going away anytime soon.
It feels like we're at a crossroads, doesn't it? You know, it's easy to get lost in all the drama and the social media back and forth. But at the end of the day, we're talking about 2 really talented women here.
Right. I mean, Fernanda Torres already has a Golden Globe, and her family's legacy in film is incredible.
And Karla Sofia Gascón, she's made history with this nomination, and she's such a powerful voice for the LGBTQ plus community.
It's amazing what both of them have accomplished.
And you have to think about the pressure they're under. Awards season, the media, social media. It can be brutal.
Oh, yeah. It's got to take an emotional toll, you know?
Totally. And it's a shame that this whole controversy has kind of overshadowed their achievements.
I agree. Both of these women deserve to be celebrated for their talent.
Their work, the stories they tell, that's what really matters.
Exactly. Awards are nice, but they come and go. It's the art that leaves a lasting impact.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question. How do you think this whole situation might change things moving forward for awards campaigns and how nominees use social media?
That's a good one. Will it lead to more positivity, more transparency?
Maybe even less of that cutthroat competitiveness. What do you think, listeners?
It's fascinating to think about.
This story, it's a kind of a snapshot of what's happening in our culture right now, especially online.
Yeah, navigating this new world, figuring out how to be competitive, but also supportive.
And most importantly, remembering that there are real people at the heart of it all. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.
Until next time, keep those conversations going.